Well, we are back from the winter break here at Lokomotive Leipzig in our second season up in the Bundesliga. Hopefully we can make the most of a surprising game in hand against Fortuna Dusseldorf second up in today's episode. But before then, we take on Union Berlin. Can we make the quarterfinals of the DFB Pokal again? And welcome to episode 78 of the Leipzig Loko with Lokomotive Leipzig here on Sean Does FM. I hope you are doing well and come up today. We played two games off the back of the winter break. First up, it's a third round clash in the DFB Pokal against Union Berlin from down in the 2 Bundesliga, and off the back of that, we actually have a game in hand somehow in the Bundesliga. We take on Fortuna Dusseldorf at home. Hopefully, winning that game should see us get right on the edge of getting ourselves into a European qualifying spot in the league. So if you're looking forward to those two games coming up in today's episode, as well as a bit of a Conference League and transfer window update, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. As always, it is greatly appreciated. But we've played a couple of games either side of the winter break off the back of yesterday's episode, where we did take on Bayer Leverkusen and Borussia Dortmund. If you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. Picked up some quite big results in those games, otherwise would be a lot further down the Bundesliga table than where we currently are. And to be fair, our form in and around that has also been quite good. We'll just get rid of those friendlies that we did play before we came back from the winter break. We picked up wins in both our last two Conference League games, so it did mean we actually went through that league phase of the competition undefeated, just us and Roma. We first picked up a 4-2 win over Trabzonspor, actually conceded early and late in this game, but thankfully in between that, picked up 4 goals. Matty White's been doing a very good job for us up front of late in that competition. So we picked up a win there against Trabzonspor. That did mean already we were pretty much guaranteed to be through the round of 16 anyway, no matter what happened in that game against Athletic Club Bilbao. But it was a very good test for us, as those guys did beat Lille on that same day that we beat Trabzonspor, and we picked up a 1-0 win thanks to a very early goal to Benjamin Bushawari. That was quite a good performance as well, because in the previous Bundesliga game, which we lost to Freiburg, that one a bit frustrating, having done that good work yesterday against Bayer Leverkusen and against Borussia Dortmund. But Michael Mastis, our goal scorer, before we did concede 3 goals off the back of that, a frustrating result, but he got injured in that game, so it did mean that Danny Hermel had stayed, and also we did rotate a fair bit more than I ideally would have, albeit, as I said, with our path through to the round of 16 already guaranteed, it did feel like it was a chance for us to rotate a little bit. We were still able to pick up that 1-0 win, which is very encouraging. So it might actually be a case for us here this season, where, as I've said the last couple of episodes, trying to make our way into Europe next season might be easier through winning the Conference League than it will be to finish in a top 7 position in the Bundesliga. But here's how the league phase did finish. It was us and Roma, the only 2 teams who did go through undefeated. I think Roma did take on some pretty weak teams though in comparison to us, Lille and Athletic Bilbao. All those teams are through the round of 16. Alongside those teams, you can also see there quite a few teams are going to be making their way though into that first knockout round. We are waiting for that to take place so far. The draw hasn't even been made for that, so it's going to be a little while till we get back into the swing of things in the Conference League. But fair to say, based on our league phase form, we are one of the serious contenders to be taking out that competition, especially with no English representation in that competition this year. And off the back of the winter break, we've just played one game in the Bundesliga, and we actually picked up a 2-1 win over Borussia Mönchengladbach. Didn't get off to a good start in this game, even though it did take a half hour for the first goal, but it did fall to Borussia Mönchengladbach. Kavice there plays that one forward to Cancellieri. Actually quite a well-worked goal there for the home team, but immediately off the back of that, we did grab an equaliser. I've noticed this is happening quite a bit in games I'm playing of late. Daniel Cueto robs a defender there of the ball and buries that one in the top left corner. So Borussia Mönchengladbach weren't ahead for too long, and then with around about 10 minutes left, Matty White did come off the bench, but fortunately this ball did fall to him, but Escobar picked up an assist, and Matty White bangs that one into that top left corner, and we pick up a 2-1 win. Good result off the back of that winter break, and it does mean in the Bundesliga we are in 10th on the table, albeit, as you can see, us and Mainz do for some reason have games in hand. Not too sure how that's happened, but hopefully we can make the most of that somewhat in our second game of today's episode. We do take on Fortuna Dusseldorf with that game in hand. If we can win that one in the second game today, we could get ourselves right on the brink of making our way into a European qualifying spot in the Bundesliga. But first up today, it is the DFB Pokal. But before then, the transfer window is also open. We haven't done too much in terms of changing personnel here at Lokomotive Leipzig, but our transfer budget has gone up quite significantly. There you can see I've actually put a bid in for a player, a promising left winger with some of that money that we have got. That is Tunde Musa. He is out of Spain, currently at Cordoba, looks very promising and a bit better than Benjamin Bushuwari. We're going to spend 1.5 million overall on him, but only 1 million up front. The other player I was looking at was one Mr. Michael Holford, who currently is on loan at Ross County, having started his career at Southampton. He also looks very promising, but attribute-wise, not quite as good as Musa, albeit I do see he does have quite a sweet left foot. But we've gone after Musa because that price that they do want for Holford is a lot more than we can afford. So potentially a new left wing option will be joining us here at Lokomotive Leipzig in this transfer window. And the reason we got that money is because we sold some of our players but got them back on loan. And those players, Luca Campanelli and Tom Gale, obviously needed those two for the Conference League for homegrown nation reasons. But thankfully, we're able to include deals in those transfers that did mean we got them straight back on loan with no wage fee for the rest of the season. So actually quite good deals for us there. Also from our second team, Isaac Pinchard has been loaned out to Kaiserslautern. But Luca Campanelli, we got 500k for up front, 750k overall. And Tom Gale, I think, a very good transfer fee there from Hamburg, 2.5 up front, rising to £3 million. So that's the reason we got that extra money, and we are using it to try and sign that promising Spanish left winger in Musa out of Cordoba. But it does mean our squad going into the second part of the season at the moment is exactly the same as it was come the end of the last episode. But hopefully at some stage, potentially during today's episode, we can get Tunde Musa here, and being 18 years old, another player who in a couple of years' time can become homegrown club and homegrown nation. But first up today, it is the third round of the DFB Pokal, and we do take on Union Berlin. This is a team that we did loan Karl Henson to, of course, a player that we did sign from Leeds United at the start of the season. But these guys are actually struggling a lot more than expected in the two Bundesliga. Supposed to be the team that were favoured to come up to the Bundesliga come the end of the season. At the moment, they are all the way down in 10th, and as you can see, of late, their form not too great, only one win in their last 5, and recently draws against Nuremberg and Augsburg. Hopefully, this is a winnable tie for us, despite the fact that this one is away from home. You'd expect so, because we're both in similar positions in our leagues, but we are up a division, so it should be a game we are capable of winning. And saying that, though, we are rotating our team just a little bit with some players tired, and it does look like a good chance to try and give some of our fringe players some game time here in the third round of the DFB Pokal. There you can see Bayern Munich are definitely going through to the next round, to those quarterfinals, a 6-1 win over Bayer Leverkusen. Wolfsburg also through. Apart from that, some games which are live. Interesting to see Yakuba Saloy, one of our former strikers, doing a good job there for 1860 Munich against Arminia Bielefeld. Those guys these days all the way down in the free league, but this should be a game where yet again we can make our way through to the quarterfinals of the DFB Pokal. But going into this game, we have pretty much rotated in every position apart from a couple of players who are suspended for their next game in the Bundesliga because they've picked up too many yellow cards. Those players are Justin Blomier as the ball-winning midfielder, and also Nicolo Amadori up front. Apart from that, Billy Camillo stays in the team because he has quite good endurance compared to the rest of our squad. But apart from that, it's pretty much a full rotation for this game. Also, Albin Krasnicki is outright. It would have been game ideally. We would have started Michael Mastis coming back from an injury he did pick up in that Freiburg game before the winter break, but still he's only recommended for 45 minutes. There are Union Berlin, and somewhat surprisingly, Henson is going to play against us here in the DFB Pokal, so that could be interesting, playing against one of our players on loan at the two Bundesliga club. There's our team as we ran through before, the same formation as per usual, and hopefully we can make our way through to the quarterfinals. Albeit last season we did get knocked out by a two Bundesliga team in that quarterfinal. Already Justin Blomier has picked up a yellow card. He doesn't want to play too much in today's episode. It does look like he might be coming off at halftime, and so might Value Altawi to have Tom Gale on the bench today instead of Hurtado. So thankfully, that's not going to impact things for our next game too much, and Manuel, to be fair, could use a little bit of game time heading in to that clash against Fortuna Dusseldorf. Interesting ball colour here, to be fair. Actually, stands out quite nicely on the carpet, and already there a mistake by Kenny at right back for Union Berlin. Now Bushawari, a bit of trickery there on the edge of the box. Good work from Joshua Xerxes to play that one to Krasnicki in space on our right hand side, and from the corner of that inner box he tucks that one away, and we grab a 1-0 lead in the first highlight that we do get around about halfway through the first half. Great work there from Bushawari off the back of that missed header from Kenny, then plays it to Xerxes. Smart option, and Krasnicki just beats the Union Berlin goalkeeper there at his near post. It's a pretty good start, albeit there's a highlight immediately from the restart. Union Berlin here are in possession and already look to make their way into our half. It is actually quite hard to see this ball when it does get in the air, so that's a little bit interesting, but at the moment it is Union Berlin on the attack. But good work there from Bushawari yet again to get that ball back for us. It goes up to Blomaye, some quick passing down that right hand side. Now Amadoli finds Paulo Cesar in a lot of space. Yet again Bushawari gets heavily involved. This time picks out Joshua Xerxes. Good chance yet again to try and beat the goalkeeper at the near post, but that shot a little bit weak, and the goalkeeper this time does come up with a save. But so far, well and truly on the front foot, and at the half-hour mark, we are in position yet again, albeit are being forced to play out from the back. But good work there from Amadori tracking back, plays that one to Justin Blome. Now Vochin at right back plays that over the top for Krasnicki, the goal scorer, around the edge of the box, tries to square that one. It finds its way there to Blome. He puts that one away, so despite the fact he's on a yellow card, he does contribute somewhat. He picks up a goal, of Krasnicki assist, and that makes it 2-0, and hopefully that's a big enough cushion to hopefully make our way through to the quarterfinals yet again of the DFB Pokal. Krasnicki plays this one to the mixer. One of the Union Berlin defenders does just clear that one straight into Blomaye, and would you know it, it's Karl Henson. Secret agent, man, it's paying off for us in this game, and we go 2-0 up 10 minutes shy of half-time. That's a very interesting situation there. Union Berlin fans might not be too happy about that, albeit might be a chance for them here to grab a goal back just before half-time, but thankfully that's Bushawari yet again clearing that one away with a hero chance there for Kun. To be fair, hard to tell how close that was. That ball colour, as I said, quite difficult when it makes its way through the air, and also especially with those net colours down here at Union Berlin, but it is them in position just before half-time. Hopefully we can get into the sheds still with a 2-goal buffer, that cushion goal lead. Henson plays that one forward to Kadira. Now they find Kun here on the right-hand side, and they start to make some headway down that side, nearly inside the final third, but thankfully Caminio does head that one away. It might be a chance for us here on the counter-attack. Krasnicki plays that one forward to Xerxes, looks to play this over the top for Bushawari. Good hustle though from that header, and Paulo Cesar does win that ball back for us. Now Blome and lots of space in the centre of the field. Nice pass there to Vochin. Squares that one, and it is Nicolo Amadori who pokes that one home, and we're going to go into the sheds with a 3-0 lead. Our Italian striker also missing for our next game in the Bundesliga makes the most of the fact he'll be getting a rest in that game and picks up a goal. Blome, nice pass there out to Vochin. Our wingbacks today actually looking pretty good, it's fair to say. Our rotation ones, and Amadoli will pick up, I believe that was his unlucky 13th goal of the season. Hopefully he picks up a few more than that and gets off that number, but that was a very impressive first half. Union Berlin did not do much, and even when they did, they didn't get a single shot on target. We've put 3 in the back of the net, and we should be making our way through to the quarterfinals. We're going to make a few subs at halftime. Those yellow-coloured players can come off for Tom Gale and Manuel, and also Albin Krasnicki doing quite well, but Mikhail Mastis, as I said, could use a bit of game time here coming back from that injury, so hopefully he might be available for a full 90 when we do take on Fortuna Dusseldorf. But we'll get things back underway here with that 3-0 lead. And there is a very early highlight here in the second half. Union Berlin on the ball, they need to go back quickly if they're going to try and find their way back into this game. We'll just zoom out a little bit to make sure you can see what's happening there down that left-hand side. But good work from us there, and now Amadoli does start to get in behind somewhat, takes a long range effort, but that one did look like it went just wide, as I said, but hard to tell at times with this ball. Looks quite good when it's on the carpet, but when there's shots being made in headers, it's a bit hard to pick up. Now a free kick for Manuel, that one hits the roof of the net, so some early chances for us in the second half, but nothing too threatening, all of them coming from a fair distance out. We are still up by 3-0 as we're about to hit the hour mark. Was just about to check on some player fitness, but another highlight starts here, and yet again we might be on the attack. It's headed away there, but Benedetti is in position on the edge of the box, makes his way inside, tries to square that one. It was collected there by someone, not too sure who, and the goalkeeper makes a pretty good save. just checking on player fitness. And to be fair, most of our players out there are in pretty good nick, so I think we'll just leave that for now and come back with around about 15 minutes left in this game. But it does feel like a game that we are now well and truly in control. And then again, we were on the attack there down that right-hand side. Unfortunately, though, poor pass that time from Votchin, and it is Union Berlin who will look to strike. But as I said, now they might be leaving it a little bit too late, but they are on the attack here through Nelmal down that right-hand side. Put that one into the mixer. It's a bit fortunate, and Tom Gale is able to clear that one away. Their best chance so far. Thankfully, we deal with the danger about to make our way inside these last 15 minutes. We'll give them a quick praise and see what players might need to be taken off. And there's a couple on red hearts with only 2 subs left. That pretty much makes up our minds for us. It'll be Cueto and Anhelo coming on in those 2 positions, and we'll see what happens in the latter stages of this game, still with that 3-0 lead, and putting out a pretty good performance in our second game back from the winter break, albeit you'd kind of expect it against a team who are down in the 2 Bundesliga, and now we have a throw in here inside of the final third, holding the ball on that far side. Pablo Cesar plays that one into the mixer, and Daniel Cueto just loops that one over the goalkeeper. He picks up his 8th goal of the season. We'll give a praise off the back of this goal. That makes it 4-0, and definitely no coming back now for the team from the 2 Bundesliga, who of course do include one of our players in Karl Henson, who must not be doing that good a job. Obviously gave us a bit of a goal earlier, passing it to Krasnicki this time. Don't think he was the player there who got out-jumped by Cueto. If it was, that's not really promising for him, because Daniel Cueto, a little bit of a midget, but this is going to be a very comprehensive performance in the 3rd round of the DFB Pokal. It does mean, I think, for the 3rd year in a row, we'll make our way through to the quarterfinals. Karl Votchin having a very good game at right back. In fact, both our wing backs had quite good games. Maybe need to leave them in there for that Bundesliga game against Fortuna Dusseldorf, but that was a very convincing performance, certainly a bit more than I expected, but quite happy that we got the job done nice and comfortably. I don't think the draw for this competition takes place until early February, so I don't think we can find out who we are playing just yet in that quarterfinal, but we'll be there off the back of a 4-0 win over Union Berlin, albeit big upset there. I think Dortmund were leading that game when we got underway, but Cologne have knocked out Dortmund. That is surprising, and also 1860 Munich through that Soloway hat-trick are through the next round as well, but so are we. No Dortmund deal with, but still Bayern Munich and Wolfsburg, but we'll be in it off the back of that 4-0 win over Union Berlin. So a very good win in that first game of today's episode. Make our way through to the quarterfinals of the DFB Pokal. As I said, the draw for that doesn't come out until early February off the back of the end of the transfer window, so no updates on that in today's episode. But next up, hopefully, we can make the most of one of these funny games in hand we have found ourselves with and make our way potentially up to 8th on the Bundesliga table as we host Fortuna Dusseldorf. This is a team we have not beaten in our last 4 matches against them. As you can see, 2 draws and 2 losses, so it is a little bit of a bogey team, but they are just below us on the Bundesliga table. It does look like they play with 5 at the back. Maybe that's something we need to work on, but as you can see, their form coming to this is a little bit mixed, albeit they haven't really played teams in and around our positions. This could be interesting, losing to some good teams like Hoffenheim and Bayern Munich, but their form around those games has been pretty decent, so this could be an interesting match, but with it being at home, hopefully we can pick up a result. As I said before, no Amadori or Blomé going into this game, but still we are making some changes apart from in those positions off the back of good performances in that previous game. Both our wing backs keep their spot in the first team. Also, obviously, Manuel as the ball-winning midfielder and White as the striker. Also, it is going to be Krasnicki still at right wing musties, still only recommended for 45 minutes and on the bench. Pimentel comes up from our under-19s as the backup striker. We'll give him a number. And also, we have Racine Bullock as the backup ball-winning midfielder with no Justin Blomé available for this game. So a little bit of change, but hopefully can put out a good performance like we did in that Union Berlin game. Obviously, though, this will be a bit tougher against a team from up in the Bundesliga, in and around about the same position as we are, albeit just a couple of points behind us. And of course, we do have, as I've said, somehow that game in hand, but our form of play actually has been pretty good in and around that loss to Freiburg in our last Bundesliga game before the winter break. There we are, as we ran through before, just those changes in terms of those suspended players compared to our usual first choice 11, and also in the wing back position, seeing as those guys did quite well in that previous game that we did play. Early highlight here from the kickoff, but thankfully good work there from Matty White early, tracks back does the former Houston Dynamo and LA Galaxy player, the American, in pretty good form for us. Hopefully can make the most of a chance here in the first team in the Bundesliga. Of late has been starting for us in the cup competitions like the Conference League. Now Krasnicki inside the final third plays that one back for Sebastian Escobar back in the team. And what a goal that is for his second of the season. Rockets it in that bottom left corner from right on the edge of the box, and that is a brilliant start. Only 20 odd seconds into this one, we grab a 1-0 lead at home. Good work down that right hand side off the back of Matty White, getting that ball back for us. Krasnicki with the assist. No one picks up Sebastian Escobar, and that is a really nice finish. And we go 1-0 up nice and early now. Hopefully we don't concede right off the back of that. That's something we've been doing quite a bit recently in the Bundesliga. Usually in the Bundesliga games I play, the team who scores first usually go on to lose. So hopefully that's not something that happens in this one, but it is now Fortuna Dusseldorf who are on the attack. Flick with a chance, and that one does beat Ivizic, but thankfully Paulo Cesar, right place, right time, can clear that one out. It will be for a corner. We'll just check here if the corner does still take place off the back of a praise. It does, but as you might be able to see there, if my head's not on the way, that does move us up to 8th on the live ladder on the Bundesliga table. And with that game in hand, that would be very useful to hopefully get ourselves back into a European qualifying spot through our performance in the league. So a win here would be very nice indeed, especially considering come the end of the month, we take on some pretty good teams like Wolfsburg and RB Leipzig. That's probably what we'll come back for in tomorrow's episode. Hopefully can pull off a bit of an upset in that derby away from home. But of course we do play our European games at the Red Bull Arena this season, so hopefully we won't be too intimidated by that stadium. But it's been a bit quiet off the back of that chance to Fortuna Dusseldorf about halfway through the first half. Thankfully got a nice early start there through that goal to Sebastian Escobar, and we head into the sheds with a 1-0 lead based on stats too. We probably deserve it. Lots of action it looks like late in that first half, but no highlights. Lots of XG created, but we didn't get shown any of it. We'll make a change here at halftime. Vochin down to a bit of a deep yellow heart, only going okay on a 6.5, so we'll bring Sika on for him. But I think that might be all we need to do here at halftime. Maybe at some stage during the second half, might have to also bring Ryan on in place of Paulo Cesar. So those players who are playing both games in today's episode might need a little bit of a respite. So far this is going pretty well. Would be nice if we could grab a cushion goal to make sure we pick up all the points. Now an early yellow card here to Hurtado in the second half, so maybe make a few subs here off the back of this highlight. Hopefully we can hold on to our 1-0 lead, or maybe make it 2-0 like we did in that previous Union Berlin game. But they find some space here down this right hand side through Vashup, but Manuel thankfully heads that one away, and good work there from Paulo Cesar. Does look like maybe we'll get on the counter attack like we did in that Union Berlin game. But just as I say that, Daniel Cueto with a poor pass, and it is here for Fortuna Dusseldorf who did get back on the attack. That is very fortunate. Hurtado nearly stuffed that one up, but thankfully recovers it. It came off the back of his head. Ivizic did not recover, and we eventually clear our lines, but we'll take off Hurtado on that yellow card for Faliu Alte. Also, Cesar's on a bit of a deep yellow card. Ryan can come on for him, and also Cueto only on a 6.5 will give some game time again to Jordan Xerxes with around about 35 minutes left, which means we have one more sub left for the remainder of this game, still with that 1-0 lead. But now we go down the other end off the back of those subs. Will this amount to anything? Krasnicki might get a chance here from the edge of the box. If he took that sooner, I think the goalkeeper might have been caught out just a little bit, but unfortunately he got back in position and Krasnicki's shot did go over the bar. To be fair, our last sub could be bringing on Mastis in place of him, seeing as Mastis does still need that game time to get back to full fitness. And checking in on player fitness, Krasnicki is one of the guys who is down to a red hearts with our final sub. I think that's what we're going to do. Mastis can come on at right wing, but it does feel like we're well and truly on the front foot in this game. Hopefully it continues and we can hold on and pick up all 3 points. Fortuna Dusseldorf from the start of that highlight were inside our box, but thankfully we do clear our lines, but it is them in position inside our half. They play a ball there into the mixer. Dardai with a shot. That one comes off the post. We're actually getting quite fortunate here with some of the chances that Fortuna Dusseldorf have had. They've now hit the woodwork a couple of times, and also a bit lucky with that chance that they did get before we did take Hurtado off. But with 10 minutes left, there's an injury to Sebastian Escobar. We'll just stop things here because I did just click that out of habit. We might need to make some technical changes here down to 10 men. I think Xerxes might have to make his way back here a little bit. Can't play defensive midfield, but can play regular midfield. So we'll put him onto a deep line playmaker on defend and just play as per usual without an attacking midfielder when we usually get a red card. But this time, it's for an injury. Hopefully that doesn't prove costly. Also, we'll just pull all those players on the wings onto support. And as well as that, we'll just start to be a bit more disciplined and also slow the pace down, start to time waste a little bit as well. But hopefully that doesn't prove costly in these last 10 minutes. Hopefully that injury to Sebastian Escobar is not too serious. And we can hold on here and pick up all 3 points. That would be a very harsh way to be denied, especially at home and off the back of using all our subs potentially a little bit too early. But thankfully it looks like those time-wasting things are working as they were supposed to. Based on stats, that was a game we definitely should have won, albeit Fortuna Dusseldorf actually had the higher XG with half the amount of shots as us, so that's a bit concerning. Maybe missed Amadori a bit more than I thought, but thankfully we hold on for a 1-0 win, even down to 10 men for those last 10 minutes. Hopefully that injury to Escobar not too serious, but that is a pretty good episode. Much like yesterday, we're starting to find a good run of form either side of the winter break, and that should see us get right on the verge of a European qualifying spot in the Bundesliga now that we have played just over half of the games in the season. But a couple of good results in today's episode. We back up that 4-0 win over Union Berlin in the third round of the DFB Pokal with a 1-0 win over Fortuna Dusseldorf in the Bundesliga, which sees us move up to 8th. So as I said, a couple of good results from those two games in today's episode, especially here in the Bundesliga, making the most of that game in hand, which I'm not too sure how it's come up off the back of this. We do take on Mainz. They were the other team who did have a game in hand, so maybe that's where that's come from. Before we do move on and finish today's episode though, we'll check on this Escobar injury. Twisted ankles out for 4 to 7 weeks. It will be 4 to 5 weeks once he goes to the physio. That could be interesting. Does mean that he might miss a couple of big games coming up in the latter stages of February, but hopefully he might be available by the time that we do get stuck in to the round of 16 in the Conference League. But I think that will do it for today's episode. 2 good wins. We're through to the quarterfinals of the DFB Pokal and also pick up another win in the Bundesliga off the back of the winter break over Fortuna Dusseldorf. If you enjoyed today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. I think we'll come back tomorrow and we might start to focus on the teams who are doing really well before we get into a couple of big games and cup competitions off the back of that. So I think tomorrow we'll come back and take on RB Leipzig before transfer deadline day in January. That is a derby away from home, and those guys currently are in a Europa League spot. And then we'll move on a little bit. We'll skip over Hanover, and I think we'll take on Wolfsburg. So 2 tough games away from home coming up in tomorrow's episode, but against teams who are currently in European spots. And from there, we can kick on a little bit more and get into some of those big cup games, which do take place in late February and in March around that clash with Bayern Munich as well. So we've got some big games coming up in and around the end of this week and also the start of the next one, but we'll come back tomorrow, hopefully have a new left winger signed with that money we did get for Tom Gale and Luca Campanelli, and also we'll take on RB Leipzig and Wolfsburg. So until then, thank you very much for watching, keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.
Thought I could do this, left through the sadness. Don't know how I ended up so lost.